Start with today's session. So my name is José Antonio Bonet. I'm coming from the University of Lleida, the Forest Science Center of Catalonia. And it's my pleasure to be today the moderator of this session. So I have also participated in this project. So I remember when I was invited by Adriano to visit the examples of our Finnish colleagues in North Karelia, in Joensuu. So it's my pleasure to be here and also as a participant, as a moderator, but also as a participant in order to learn the main results of the project, so all the outcomes. Okay, so we will start with this block of the 8 action plans to improve and increase the use of bioenergy, the project outcomes and conclusions from the different partners. And then you will have around 15 minutes for your exposition. After that, it will be a coffee break. And then the wrap up of the project presented by Adriano Radi and a round table. Okay, so we can start with the first presentation that will be done by Tina Irvarinen from the Regional Council of North Karelia. So Tina, if you are ready, you can start.
Okay, good morning. I will try sharing my screen. Okay, so can you see my presentation? Okay, great. So hello everyone, I'm Tina Hyvärinen, Project Planning Officer at the Regional Council of North Karelia. I'm here to tell you about the results of BIO4ECO project in our region. But before going into that, I will say a couple of words about our region and its objectives in terms of sustainability. So North Karelia, it is situated in the eastern part of Finland, close to Russia. We're actually next to Russia. We are a fairly small region in terms of population. There are around 160,000 inhabitants. But on the other hand, we are a very heavily forested region. Around 89% of our land area is covered by forests. So we are a very perfect area for forest-based business and activities. And we do have a strong and dynamic forest cluster. We have around 600 top forest bioeconomy experts working in primarily in research and education institutions, such as the Natural Resources Institute of Finland, the Finnish Forest Center, and the European Forest Institute, which headquarters is located in our region. All in all, we've got around 6,000 people working in the forestry sector. Our region has very ambitious targets regarding sustainability, and they exceed the targets set by the national, set at national or EU level. So we have a vision to become a fossil oil-free region by 2030, and this means both in heating and transportation. And we also want to increase the share of renewable energy in total energy consumption up to 100%. Currently, the number is 67%. And one of our aims is also to reduce greenhouse gases by 80%. And of course, the regional forests play a key role in achieving these targets. They are a good resource for wood energy, for example. So these targets are very ambitious, challenging, but we are very committed as a region to achieve them. And then shortly about Regional Council of North Karelia. We are a public regional authority, and our role is to develop the region in cooperation with our stakeholders. So in addition to regional development, we are responsible for spatial planning, supervision of interests, and we also provide funding through, for example, European regional development funds. And then if we look at the results of BIO4ECO in our region, so the project has been involved in developing and improving several key policies in our region. And one of them was this roadmap towards oil-free and low-carbon North Korea by 2040. And this roadmap is a strategy that identifies the main actions and concrete steps that we need to take in order to achieve the sustainability targets that I mentioned you earlier. So BIO4ECO project was actively involved in the workshops, quadruple helix groups where this roadmap was planned. And also the project coordinator at that point, she was involved in writing the actual roadmap, and especially the part concerning natural resources and bioeconomy sectors. And in addition to this, the project also compiled the Smart Forest Bioeconomy Strategy of North Korea. So it brings together or combines two already existing strategies in our region. So the Smart Specialization Strategy and the Regional Climate and Energy Program. So both of these programs see forest bioeconomy as an important theme, and they both have development objectives for the sector, but they are partially overlapping and interlinked. So it was BIO4ECO project's role to emerge these forest bioeconomy targets into one strategy that became the Smart Forest Bioeconomy Strategy. And this also takes into account some lessons learned in the project. For example, about the multiple use of forests and climate smart forestry. So this is a sub-program of our key policy instrument. Sorry. So in addition to these policy improvements, the project also produced surveys which have provided good background data for further policy improvements. And one of these was the scenario analysis of the impacts of increased harvesting volumes on biodiversity and carbon stocks. So according to the forest program in our region, the aim is to increase forest harvesting by 1 million cubic meters a year. And we wanted to find out with this scenario analysis that what kind of negative effects this increase would have on our biodiversity, natural resources, and forest carbon sinks. And this analysis was done by Natural Resources Institute of Finland, and it showed that if we increase harvesting volumes by 1 million cubic meters, we will have less tree species, or the tree species composition will be different. We will have less berries to pick, also less birds, and more importantly, the role of forests as carbon sinks would reduce. So they would not absorb as much carbon as they currently do. So we could avoid these negative effects by careful planning and selection of harvesting areas. So the results of this survey were presented to our regional strategic group that plans and coordinates the development of forest bioeconomy sector in our region. And this same group, it was also the local stakeholder group of BIO4ECO in our region. And they are also the group who defines the key development objectives for our regional strategic program. So based on the discussions and presentations of BIO4ECO project, the group decided that we should promote climate smart forestry in our region, and it was included as one of the main development objectives in the regional strategic program for 2021 and also in its implementation plans. So as a result of the project, more emphasis was put on sustainable use of forest and low carbon energy production. And this, as I said, this regional strategic program, it is a key policy instrument in our region. All authorities must take it into account in their work, and it also defines how project funding is directed in our region. So as a result of these policy improvements, active participation of BIO4ECO in different working groups, discussions and suggestions, we can say that this policy instrument supports better projects that aim to improve low carbon issues, bioenergy and bioeconomy sectors. And we have estimated that the project has influenced around 1.7 million of project funding. But these were the policy improvements made by the project. But then if we look at the action plan of BIO4ECO in North Karelia, the main action in our action plan was the promotion of climate smart forestry. So based on the scenario analysis, which was an important input in our region, we wanted to see what kind of possibilities this has in our region and what we should do next. So by climate smart forestry, I mean that by planning the use of forest, we ensure that they help us mitigate climate change, but also provide us materials for wood products, bioenergy, and so on. So we can use forests for multiple purposes without harming the biodiversity. So for this action, the inspiration came from the scenario analysis, like I said, but also from our partners from Latvia, Slovenia, and France, for example, where smart forest management measures have been taken. So we wanted to see what kind of measures we should take in order to promote climate smart forestry in our region. And for this activity, we applied funding from an innovations fund to a project that was implemented by Natural Resources Institute Finland. And this project's aim was to create a roadmap and timeline to guide the development of climate smart forestry. And this was done at the beginning of 2019. So it has been completed, and the next steps according to the roadmap are to update forest management recommendations based on the climate smart forestry approach, and also to carbon classify all forests in North Karelia. So the State Forest Enterprise Metsähallitus has already made a carbon classification of forests or categories for that, but we still need to find funding to implement this classification in North Karelia so that we are able to plan our forest use more effectively. But those were the main results of BIO4ECO in our region. But in addition to that, the project also inspired us to look for new possibilities and solutions to attract practical forest workers in our region. So the increased harvesting volumes will naturally also increase the need for skilled labor. So that is why we decided that we should look for new solutions for that. And we also, thanks to the project, started to update our regional bioeconomy brand and promotional materials connected to that. So to sum up, we can say that low carbon issues, bioeconomy and bioenergy are taken into account in planning and decision making in North Karelia better than before. And we have taken actions to improve climate smart forestry and also increased awareness of key development needs of the sector. And during the project implementation, the use of fossil fuels in heating dropped by 15.25%. So these were the main results of BIO4ECO in our region. I can say that all in all, the project brought us new know-how, possibility to exchange experiences, and also reflect on our own expertise and needs. And we strongly recommend all organizations and regions to take part in similar projects. They are a good tool to develop regions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tina, for your presentation, also for being very strict with the presentation time. Okay, just a comment for all the attendants to the conference. So you know that you have the opportunity also to formulate questions that will be inserted in the chat of the Zoom. Okay, then question and answers. Okay. Now is the turn of Elena Siskov, Director of the Agricultural Department, that will present the results of the project in Abruzzo. Elena, your turn.
Good morning. Just a moment, I try to share my presentation. Okay, sure. Okay. Okay, good morning to all. I am the Director of the Agriculture Department of the Abruzzo Region. I have been working in this department since 2019, so I had the opportunity to know this project. In my opinion, for my region, it's an interesting project because it allowed us to gain knowledge about the issue of the renewable energies, especially those obtainable from biomass. For this project, we involved many stakeholders, public and private stakeholders, and my region participated in all events that were organized in the partner countries. About the study visit, I have to underline a specific meeting which was organized in March 2017, and there are relevant the conclusions of this event. In particular, we can say that the Abruzzo region has a good trend in the usage of renewable energy sources for energy generation. So we overcame the regional target at 2020. And about electricity generation, we can say biomass gives very low contribution in the Abruzzo region. And about thermal energy generation, we can say solid biomass is the principal renewable source, mainly operating in small heating appliance, but there are some criticism for air quality. And the district heating plants could have a wider usage, but one of the main barriers is the high entity of the investment costs. The results of our analysis were included in a specific document which was released in 2017. About the impact of the exchange, I can see that we have increased knowledge in the meeting and exchanges with the partners of this project, and we are aware of the positive implications on the socio-economic life of the population following the development of this specific production sector. About the good practices of the other partners, I have to underline some specific aspects which are interesting for us. For example, the energy self-sufficiency from forest biomass combined with the photovoltaic systems of the good practice of the community of Vlasco in Slovenia, or for example, the general planning of forest management in the project of Catalonia. Because in particular, which refer to this aspect, we have some criticism because we have a partial planning of forest management in our region, but we have to face limits, overcome limits to turn them in strength. At this point, specific questions arise. What should be done in the Abruzzo region? Our region have a potential ability. In fact, 40% of our territory is a woody area, but so far only less than 10% of the annual increase in wood mass growth of woods is used for energy purposes. In the recent years, the quantity of energy produced by biomass have not increased for three main reasons. The first, we have the excessively conservative management policy of our woods, because our territory is covered, is included with the Natura 2000 protected areas. We have a partial presence of detailed forest planning, and this situation makes it difficult to plan a reliable forest biomass supply over time by private and public entities which are interested in the development of this sector. And we have excessive distrust of the population regarding possible environmental pollution, and therefore the dangers to people's health due to the wood combustion. And this situation is due to the limited correct information. So we have to carry out information for the population, for our community. But we have two positive points: the awareness of that the development of a really short wood energy supply chain is able to bring many aspects, not only economic, but also environmental and social. For example, vocation on direct and indirect jobs, revitalization companies, care and maintenance of the woods, greater prevention of forest fires, and the opportunity for public administration, for the region and the municipality to organize the wood energy supply chains in the forestry and the agricultural sector. We have two negative points. In particular, we verified that some plants have been built without the use of the best technologies, and the specific knowledge of innovative technologies and equipment and plants is not widespread, and the dissemination of knowledge and the function of the local media are limited about this sector, about the use of the biomass. But our region has much potential of biomass use, especially with regard to the inland areas. In fact, these areas are able to direct towards the construction of biomass district heating and or cogeneration plants. But we have to do a long path to realize it. We have two good practices in Abruzzo. One good practice concerns public sector. In particular, we have a forest biomass plant for the production of thermal energy in a small town in the Abruzzo region, municipality of Collelongo. These good practices demonstrate the convenience to develop production, especially for thermal energy, by supplying the chopped material from the woods which are next to the plant, and by using modern technology. This project was financed with the resources of the European Regional Development Fund of the operating regional program of this program period. About the second practice, good practices, it concerns private sector. In particular, in our region, we have a company, the Aureli Mario company, which is located in Urtucchio. This company, for about 50 years, has been cultivating carrot large surfaces in the Fucino areas. And in 2010, this company adopted an impressive biomass energy plant for renewable sources, and it was created a plant for the production of electricity and thermal energy. This plant is powered by byproducts of the company and is integrated for dedicated crops used for agronomic rotation. The plant now allows to have 100% of the electricity and 25% of the heating needed for the transformation process of the company, and it represents an example of a circular economy. About the action plan, it consists of 5 actions. The first and the second actions concerns the funding of specific interventions. The first concerning the funding of plants with power over 35 kilowatt for the production of biomass chipped material from different kind of wood and products. And this project was financed with the resources with the Rebios project and the European Regional Development Fund regional operation programs. And the beneficiaries are the municipality. About 30 plants were financed, many built by the municipality. And we realized interventions to reduce and optimize energy consumption with the resources of the regional operational program of this programming period, and more than 1 interventions were funded. About the rural development plan measures, we have 3 measures which concerns this sector, but their calls still to be launched or are under development. The measure with the intervention 411 concern the support for investment in agricultural holdings aimed at improving profitability. The first, the intervention 421 concern investment for the processing and marketing and development of agricultural products. And the third, the intervention 741 concerns in particular investments in the creation, improvement or expansion of basic services of the rural population. These investments relate in particular to the construction of a public plant, to production of the energy from renewable sources that use natural resources present in the rural areas. And for us, it's an interesting project to realize. About the action 3, action 4, they concern the meetings and organization, meeting with other institutions, economic and social categories. And about the action 3, 2 meetings were organized in the past, and the meetings are relevant to promote the knowledge of this sector. About the action 4, it concerns specific meetings with the specific sector, wine sector, olive tree sector, and urban greenery. The wine sector, the meeting with the wine sector are relevant because in the cellars, the energy needs are important. So it's necessary to plan, to organize some local meeting to discuss the opportunity of this sector. And for the olive tree sector, it's the same. And about the meeting with the urban greenery, I can say that there is a large availability of various wood with the planning of urban greenery. So it's necessary to carry out communication with the public administration to use this material for the energy purposes. The action number 5 concerns in particular information campaign, and there are communication information on our regional website. About the conclusions, I can say that in Abruzzo region in 2019 incurred in a radical change in the political government. So our regional government intend to achieve planned project outcomes. But the Abruzzo region exceeded the forecast of the energy consumption from renewable sources established by a specific ministerial decree. In fact, about the share of gross final energy consumption covered by renewable energy sources, the Abruzzo region reached a level of 26.4% in 2018 against a target set in this decree equal to 15.9% for 2018 and 19.1% for 2020. So we overcame this target. The last but not least, in this period, we are engaged into the preparation of some project which could be funded with the resources of the EU Recovery and Resilience Facility, in particular to finance interventions aimed at using any product of forest origin and byproducts from agricultural tree crops to be used as fuels from renewable sources for the production of thermal and electrical energy in modern technological systems that minimize emissions to the atmosphere. I finished my presentation. I thank you all. I hope to meet you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elena, also for being strict also with the presentation time. And then next presentation will be held by Gabriela Tarao from the Regional Development Agency of Centro, Director of the Regional Policies Department. So, Gabriela. Gabriela, are you here? Okay, perfect. You can activate your microphone.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, you can start.
Okay. So, hello from Centro Region, and I'm glad to be here with you and to share with you the results and the experience we had in the implementation of the project in Centro Region. The Regional Development Agency, as the Romanian project partner, implemented this project at the regional level, a region located in the middle of Romania, with rich and in natural resources. In terms of forest, Centro Region covers almost 20% of the total forest and wooded land in Romania, and forests cover somewhere around a third of the total surface of Centro Region. In this context, the valuable resources from forests are used, and we try to identify solutions for experience for improving the use of energy and biomass for producing energy but also the byproducts of wood industry and other industries in the region. So over time, we implemented several projects, and we created partnerships with other European regions. And we learned that cooperation is an essential element of the regional development. So from the 7th framework program, we tried to identify solutions to increase the renewable energy resources in the region. And till this project implemented under Interreg Europe, BIO4ECO, a project which was a platform for us to identify good practices, to transfer know-how, and to find better solutions for the sustainable use of biomass and energy efficiency of the buildings. One of the aim of BIO4ECO is to increase the share of renewable energy. So during the project implementation, we tried to identify solutions with the partners and to learn from other experience how to better improve the policy instruments that we have at regional level. And the policy instrument that we addressed within the project was the regional operational program, a program implemented, a policy instrument financed under the ERDF fund and implemented at the national level. The priority axis 3 was our policy instrument tackled, and with the support of the regional stakeholder groups, we drafted an action plan which include all the learning that we had in the experience and the project meetings, the workshops that we had with our partners. Our action plan, which, as I said, was to improve policy instrument ERDF fund, was aiming to improve the priority axis 3 by increasing the applicants' capacity for assessing the program, the clarity of the information in order to facilitate their access and to implement projects related to energy efficiency and renewable resources, but also to create to increase the energy production from renewable energy sources and to create the platform for producing energy and using the renewable sources for in a more sustainable manner. So for implementing this action plan, we had several meetings with the stakeholders group, and based on the learning process that we had in the first phase, we created and activated a regional group, a working group, which consists of clusters, of biomass clusters, of universities, the economic sector, but also public authorities, and they meet occasionally, once per month or not that often, in order to discuss the policy instruments existing at a regional level and to identify solutions to implement the projects that can be done here at regional level. Also, we, based on the learning and the meeting that we had, for example, in Abruzzo and in Latvia, we learned that it's important to include technical support. So we developed this action number 1, where we had meetings with this working group, and we discussed with them about the possibility of improving the policy instrument, and we drafted some letters for the Ministry of Development, who is the managing authority for the regional operational program and Romania. And after the decision of the regional council board, we sent these letters, and after discussions, a new call was launched for increasing the renewable energy, a call dedicated to resilient to domestic sector. Also, we had several meetings and trainings with the regional stakeholders, and with the help of JRC, we organized an event, a training on project drafting, and based on this learning event, they could understand better how to design a project in order to be funded under Horizon 2020 or other European programs. Another activity that we've done was the development of an online platform platform which includes projects and good practices, included the good practices presented by our project partners, the international partners, but also guidelines and technical solutions from our projects from our other countries, and also other information. This platform is online, and it was made with the help of one of our stakeholders. As I've said, there was a policy change, and that change was achieved after the decision of the monitoring committee, where RDA Centru is a member, and based on the interregional exchange during the phase 1, we drafted those letters, and these letters were discussed within the monitoring committee, and a new call and the criteria for the new call was launched, and the call was launched by the managing authority for the regional operational program. Also, after implementing the project, we created this and activated this working group, which I've told you about. So the project supported us to improve the smart specialization strategy because within the meetings we've discussed with all the organizations from our region, but also by learning from other, we learned that it's important to improve the content of the sustainable environment priority of the smart specialization strategy. And also we improved the content of the regional development plan developed for 21-27. And we hope that we created a better regional operational program for the next programming period. And the measures for energy efficiency and renewable energy are better drafted, because in the next programming period, we will act as a managing authority. And the speaker before me spoke about the district heating. District heating is a measure that is included in our regional operational program in the next programming period. And based on the learning process that we had within the BIO4ECO project from Bansko to Paris, we learned a lot about district heating and about how to better implement the project. Also, I would like to say that in these times when it's very important to find better solutions to save energy and to create technical solutions for energy efficiency, and these are very important challenge. All the lessons learned within the project were valuable and much appreciated Central Region. So thank you for your attention, and hope to collaborate in the future again.
Thank you very much, Gabriela. Now is the turn of my colleague, Josep Salvador Blanc, who will summarize the main results of the BIO4ECO here in the Catalonian region. So, Salva, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm Salvador Blanc from Catalonia, and I will explain you the implementation of our action plan that we have done within the BIO4ECO project. Our policy instrument is the biomass strategy that we have here in Catalonia. And our objective within the project was to implement this strategy. For this reason, we developed an action plan that included 7 different actions. The last 2 years, we have implemented this action plan, and we have accomplished to work on the 7 actions, and all of the 7 actions that we plant. Now I'm going to shortly explain what have we done for every action. So we start, and the first action is fostering the use of biomass by sectors and improvement of the social perception. Within this action, we have done first a technical brochure, which is called Guidelines for Investing in Biomass in Agronomical Exploitations. And second, we have elaborated a communication plan to promote the use of biomass in Catalonia. With this communication plan, first, we have done a diagnosis of the current state of communication in biomass-related issues. Second, taking into account this diagnosis, the results of this diagnosis, several actions have been defined, oriented to different targets. So we have 4 different targets: the domestic sector, the industrial sector, the primary sector, and the tertiary sector. The second action of the action plan is training for actors and agents involved in the biomass sector. Within this action, we have at least 7 conferences have been organized in order to date or to improve the knowledge in biomass of different agents. The third action is to improve the information on the availability of the resource of biomass in Catalonia. This action includes new tools, and there have done 2 different items have been done. The first is the Forestry Lab website, which is this website that you can see here the link, and which is a website where information on forest inventories can be found and can be downloaded and used for researchers, for example. The second item is this map of biomass information point, which is a map where people that want to invest in biomass or that want to do new installations on biomass, in this map they can find where they can be informed about this, about these biomass related issues. The second action is simplification of administrative procedures. Within this action, we have implemented a single form for request and communication of forestry exploitation, and we have successfully implemented the telematic processing of the file of forest exploitation in private forest. So here you can see different screenshots of this telematical implementation. And up to now, we have successfully treated more than 4,000 files. So we are very proud of this action. The fifth action, it is a revision of the legal framework that revolves around biomass. Within this action, we have done a proposal in order to amend the urbanistic law to include the allowance of construction of warehouses of forest products on non-urbanizable land. What we have done is submit this proposal. The next action, the action 6, is a proposal of transition between the biomass strategy and the bioeconomy strategy for Catalonia. What we have done here is we have evaluated the appropriateness of extending the strategy to promote the energetic use of forest and agriculture biomass. And we have to say that a first meeting has already been done. And moreover, we are working on a new proposal for a new biomass strategy. So we will do another biomass strategy, and it's expected to be done in 2021. And the last action number 7, was to propose the creation of a specific administrative unit for the promotion of biomass. And we have to say that this specific unit has not been created, but however, as our policy instrument, the biomass strategy, will be renewed, as we have said in the previous action, the technical and the director committees that were created at the beginning of the biomass strategy will continue, and for sure they will be consolidated. And that's it. Finally, I want to say that, as our general director said yesterday, the use of biomass in Catalonia has increased since the beginning of BIO4ECO project. And we are sure that the action plan has helped to this increase. Moreover, we will continue working in this direction, and we expect the biomass consumed to continue growing in Catalonia. We are proud on how this project has contributed to develop our biomass strategy. And that's it. Thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, I will be delighted to answer them at the end of this block.
Thank you very much, Salva. So we are more or less in the, well, we are just in the half of this block of presentation. Now is the turn of the colleagues from Latvia. So Christine Sirma of the Ministry of Agriculture will introduce the action plan to promote the use of biomass in Latvia.
So, good morning, everybody. Now you can see my slides. So you see my presentation?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, yeah, first of all, thank you all of partners who speak before me, because it's very inspiring to listen into what you did during the...
Can you maximize the presentation? Because we are only viewing the full presentation, but not maximized.
Now?
In the bottom on the right? No.
So now you can see.
Yes. Well,
you can see my presentation now.
Yes.
Good. So, yeah, so my name is Christine Sirma, and I'm representing Ministry of Agriculture of Latvia, and I'm head of Sustainable Agriculture Development Division. And I also participate in the BIO4ECO project. And so on behalf of Ministry of Agriculture of Latvia and our Latvian Forest Owner Association, allow me just to give you a short presentation about our thoughts and about what we did during the project. And our focus was how to promote the use of the biomass from the agriculture and as well from the forestry sector. But maybe let me just give you the small insight in the recent past, because this was one of the reasons why we were interested to participate in the BIO4ECO project, because we can carefully consider the EU legislation which was adopted in 2014, the EU Climate and Energy Policy Framework till 2030, and for us, it was one real big unanswered question: what to do with our land and how we can create our path, our roadmap towards a low carbon economy. So, and the BIO4ECO project really was the good tool to start think in this direction. So, as you know, we're also very resource-rich country, and the forest resource, which we have a lot, because half of our territory is covered by the forests. And I just illustratively show you just two bar charts when you can see that how big timber production is in Latvia. And one thing what I marked with a red circle, it was also the question, okay, if we export from the forest a lot of biomass, which is 1/5 of the biomass is for energy, maybe we should think how to promote more the biomass, not just for the energy production, but maybe how to add value for the products from the forestry. So maybe this is also the question what to do more and how to promote the biomass for us, because we reached our ambitious renewable energy targets. So in 2020, we have, our target was set 40%. So now it's 40.3%. And it's not just only from the biomass, but this is also lead us to think more how to promote the biomass and how to unlock different other chains in the bioeconomy development, what to do with these resources. As well, for us, one of the objectives through the bioeconomy project that also during this EU energy and climate framework, when it was adopted, we analyzed what we have, how much land we have in Latvia, what land we have for agriculture purpose, what land we have for the forest purpose, and also we realized that that we saw in different analysis and global perspective and outlooks that the demand for the biomass for the future will increase, and for the ministry and for our stakeholders, it was also absolutely crucial to analyze and see what we can do with our land, how smart we can use and produce biomass on our land. So the available land, what we have, where we see that there is a significant growth potential, that we can produce more as well to increase the efficiency, and how to promote and how to use the biomass. The main thing, how to increase efficiency per each hectare of land. And just illustratively, I wanted to show you that in Latvia we have very big share of the agriculture is third biggest greenhouse gas emitter in Latvia in non-ETS sectors, and the biggest share is agriculture soils. And why? Because we have a lot of organic soils which produce a very high greenhouse gas emissions. And thanks to the bioeconomy BIO4ECO project, we, together with the Latvian University of Life Science, we carried out, we were able to carry out a research study, and we analyzed distribution of organic soils in Latvia, because we wanted illustratively to show on the map where the soils are. And of course, for us, it was also necessary to evaluate which is the added value, how much we can earn from this land, because we can think to implement different measures, how to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, but as well, we also have to analyze different other things like economical growth and the labor in the rural areas. So main thing for us was, okay, if we very green, the almost 90% covers the forest and agricultural land, but we have to, when we think about the biomass which we have and we produce and we work with our land, then there's different targets which also must be met. This is economical, social, climate, biodiversity. Those all aspects should be taken into account when we think about the biomass use, about and how to develop the bioeconomy in the future. And thanks to this project, was noticed also by our government, and our government was they are still believe the bioeconomy and develop the bioeconomy and the renewable resources. This is one of the key elements for developing our economy, and this is also by using the biomass in different sectors. This is the way how we can reach the carbon neutrality by 2050. And thanks to the BIO4ECO project, we developed a Latvian bioeconomy strategy, which is adopted by the government, and still the bioeconomy is still presenting on the agenda of our government. And the main thing what I would like to point out that according to the Latvian bioeconomy strategy, the use of the biomass for energy generation, first of all, we have to use the cascading principle. So we can produce a lot of different other projects from the biomass, and only then, when it's something left, it might go to the energy production. About the action plan, so we have 3 actions, and the first is promote production in the bioeconomy through the development of long-term land use policy, because this is the basis for us, the land, what to do and how to manage land in a smart way. The bioeconomy principles are involved in 2 strategies, which is also adopted by the government. It's a circular economy strategy, and as well the industrial policy strategies. As well, we amend a land management law, which is under the responsibility of Ministry of Environment and Rural Development. As well, were different proposals for different cabinet regulation about the classification assessment of rules of degraded area and soil in degrading criteria. As well, the very huge work and discussion and analysis was done by the SWOT analysis for the CAP strategic plan, especially on soil management in agriculture. And as well, the latest proposals which we submit to the Ministry of Environment is guidelines of the sustainable use of peat till 2030. Second action plan, the result-oriented, efficient and sustainable resource management in the forest. As well, this very hard work has been done, and a lot of discussion about the biomass used from the forestry, and I would say very hard discussion, not just with the stakeholders, but as well with the environmental specialists, and the big discussion what to do with the forest, and is it forest for the production, or this is forest just for the nature. And there's a further collaboration discussion is ongoing, and a lot of work has been done, and also it's during the BIO4ECO project as well. Third action, I would say it's more general, that I can say the education and knowledge sharing at the horizontal level. And if we want to promote the biomass, if we want to develop the bioeconomy, this common understanding, it's absolutely necessary if we want to make some clear steps further. So, and from the project, from the BIO4ECO project, you can see a lot of contribution and knowledge sharing what we did, and we have a lot of interinstitutional working groups, which is ongoing process, and we're still working at different level and discussing different issues about the land and soil and the biomass. And what's next? So for us, it was, I would say it was very grateful that we participate, and we had the BIO4ECO project, which gave us an necessary impetus and knowledge basis for the future projects. And Ministry now, Ministry of Agriculture of Latvia, we were participating, and we're implementing 2 new projects. And we realized that the BIO4ECO project it wasn't the solution for all our questions. We see that there's a lot of more different issues what we should tackle, and the most important is if we really want to create and develop smart policies, then we have to scientific based evidence. We have updated the historical information system, and only then we will be able to use the biomass in smart way, and we will be able to reach the carbon neutrality by 2050. So it was all from my side, and thank you all, and thank you all partners for being in this project. You give us also a lot of knowledge and experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina. Now is the turn of the colleagues from Bulgaria. So, Daniela, are you ready?
Yes, hello everybody. I'm glad to see you again, although via video. Hope to see you soon in person. Let me share my screen. Can you see my presentation?
Not yet.
Just 1 second. Now?
No.
Strange. I'm sorry. I'll try again. Let me check what's the problem. I shared my screen.
No. You have to share this. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Now. You can maximize the presentation, yes, in order to see all the screen.
Isn't it maximized? I see it on my screen, on full screen.
Okay.
And how about you?
Yeah, so I think that now it's possible just to see your presentation, so you can start.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry for inconvenience. Apparently a lot of screens open on my laptop. Okay, so the action plan implementation in Bulgaria. Executive Forest Agency is a project partner for BIO4ECO, and our main aim to achieve was to influence operational program innovation and competitiveness, and specifically Axis 3 energy and resource efficiency, which is directly engaged in smart and sustainable growth and has also been developed in line with the objective in 2020 energy strategy of Republic of Bulgaria. As part of our activities, Executive Forest Agency participates as a stakeholder and beneficiary of Interreg program as a part of interinstitutional body for requesting inclusion of elements of a circular economy and innovation strategy for smart specialization, smart growth and developing of smart specialization of Ministry of Economy in charge of developing certain program in next program period in Bulgaria. Hopefully we provide a lot of information to the governing body of Ministry of Economy, so we hope for results. Expected results from BIO4ECO project was elaboration of action plan for more effective use of forest biomass and renewable energy resource in Bulgaria. The problems that we had to solve: first place, limiting the dependency of imported fossil fuels and their replacement by renewable energy sources. In my opinion, it's very ambitious challenge, but we are working hard on it. The role of renewable energy for the development of the national economy in Bulgaria continuously increase, and major share in its production take the biomass from forests is another problem that's supposed to be solved. And the use of forest resources must be subject to a balanced approach that takes into account not only economic needs, but also environmental and social role of forests. And of course, efficient and rational use of forest biomass supported by targeted policy initiative in order to achieve sustainable development, especially in energy and forest sector. If I stay aside.
Sorry, I'm afraid that the presentation is split, so we are only seeing the screen of your first slide, not the other one. So you need to pass the slides.
I'm changing the slides.
Yeah, so because.
Let's see again. Let me see.
Now, yeah, now it's perfect.
Okay, implementation of the action plan. You see now everything?
Yes.
Okay. Priority action 1, resource efficiency and sustainable production of biomass as a renewable energy source. State forest enterprises established 8 experimental logistic centers to support the business relations between sellers of round timber and timber residues and the consumers of processed timber and timber products. We also have informal communication with the National Management Authority of Operational Program Innovation and Competitiveness to organize expert level meetings to discuss strategies. Actually, the member of the interinstitutional group from the site of Executive Forest Agency sitting next to me now, and she participates on a monthly basis, providing the essential information so we can work better over the new program period of OPIC. One meeting with the national coordinator of OPIC was organized to discuss how the information and requirements for participation with project proposal on effective use of natural resources, including forest biomass, in the next program period of OPIC could be made easier for small and medium-sized enterprises with low administrative capacity for project preparation. Implementation of the action plan as priority action 2, promotion of long-term bioenergy production strategy in national policy. I will not read the slides, but I will just say that we are trying, and actually we achieved a lot in 2019 with helping and subsidizing programs of small municipalities and people who are in rural areas for changing the conventional and old ovens, wood ovens, with new sources. And there are few municipalities that applied of Norwegian mechanism for subsidizing and funding. And promotion, also the Executive Forest Agency developed fish with proposed and possible investments in project for more effective and circular use of forest biomass. Of course, we have some meetings with the municipalities, owners of forests, that we can transparent or how to explain, or show them the national plan and explain the benefits. And Due to the problems with COVID-19, we couldn't make all the meetings and groups organized, but online we organized 2 meetings of advisory group. Knowledge transfer and dissemination of success stories, that's another priority. We learn a lot during this project, thanks to all the participants and project partners. It was a real pleasure to see what other countries can achieve. So, of course, we gain good practices, and we made a presentation of international experience and learned lessons in the frames of BIO4ECO. And we published in a website of Executive Forest Agency. Also distributed a brochure with project results and national plan to target groups. And as I mentioned, meeting with representatives of Norwegian mechanism to investigate the more possibilities for financing. And monitoring. Monitoring is performed by 2 working groups, expert group and advisory group, established with experts of Executive Forest Agency and, of course, representative of stakeholders. 1 meeting of the expert group to review implementation of the action plan was organized in February 2020. Thank you for your attention. I'm ready for further questions if you have any. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation, Daniela. Now we will start with the last 2 presentations of this block before the coffee break. So, and it will be a small change because the first one will be from our colleagues from Slovenia for a service. So, are you ready for the presentation?
Yes, I am. Hello. But I cannot enable video because they say you enabled.
Okay.
The host has asked you. Yeah, okay. Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Hello. I will try to share the sections, but let me see if, can you see it?
Yes.
Do you see the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, I will now put the big one. Hopefully this will work. Yeah, do you see the whole screen?
Perfect. You can start wherever you want.
Okay. Okay. So, hi, my name is Anna Rep. We met with several of project partners in different project meetings around Europe. And I'm glad to see you again, but unfortunately via internet. There is nothing we can do about it. So let's make the best of this way. So I will tell you something about the implementation of the action plan in my country, which is Slovenia. I will do just the super quick check of the Slovenia's facts. I won't be reading them out loud because everybody can read them. I just wanted to emphasize that Slovenia is one of the most forested countries in the world. And why the small photo? Because we're a really small country, and this is the joke that always breaks the ice in the meetings. But I couldn't find a better resolution. That's the truth. We had in our action plan, we took 3 actions. This was the position we started from. And action number 1 was to improve the conditions for a more active role of forestry experts, especially in promoting the efficient use of biomass for energy purpose. And what we really wanted to do here was to increase the activities using timber, and especially in rural areas, where these activities can make the very important contribution to development of the rural area and of their conservation, you know, that life can continue in such conditions and that people can have some income from the local sources. The second action was to increase the interest of forest owners for the forest management, especially in areas with a higher share of low quality stands. This was the point where we started from, the low quality stands, and we wanted to improve the economic conditions of forest management and stimulating more forest owners who will actively manage their forest. The last but not the least was to improve cooperation and coordination between decision makers and experts related to use of renewable energy sources. So what we wanted to do is to clearly define the priorities for the use of low quality wood. And, you know, with aim to use wood more effectively for energy purposes. And when all the other sources are already exhausted, we wanted to enable it to have the higher added value, also especially the low quality wood. The results are here. This is the result of the first action, which was to improve the conditions for forestry experts. What we did here, we conducted the research among forestry owners and the users of wooden biomass. And the results were that people wanted more quality informations, and they were especially looking for informations about financial benefits of exploitation of low quality wood, and the efficient use of this wood for energy purposes. So what we did, we offered counseling at different fairs, conferences, work safety courses, and we on these fairs and conferences, we also presented them action plans. We also published publications and articles. And what we also did, especially in these events that I mentioned before, we had advice to the owners in the form of the lectures. So this was a really personal approach, and people really liked it because it was actually very individual, and we could actually really dedicate our time and advices to each, you know, and every one of them. The second action, the results of the second action were that, so the main problem here of the forest owners is that in Slovenia, the realization of possible deforestation in private forests is too low. And the dominant reason for that is the fragmentation and small size of forest holdings. So we all know that the changes have occurred in, you know, living habits. People are moving to the cities, and we have also problem with demanding and expensive forest production. And also one of the reasons why forest owners don't decide to exploit or work in the forests with a low quality income. It's because we have low wood sales prices. And so we used here one part of rural development program, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. We conducted in this program 967 consultation for forest owners and users, where we encouraged the pooling of, you know, the amalgamation of forest owners and the management of less profitable forests. And we for sure want to continue with these high numbers because we reached almost 1,000 people, forest owners. But this year and the future, we all know it's very unpredictable due to the force majeure. Our advices are under big question mark. So yeah, this is what I mentioned before. We had the advices given to the forest owners. And regarding the third action, which was the improving the cooperation coordination between decision makers. Here, the big challenge was the climate change, which brings us always, it always comes in unpredictable intervals, and uneven time intervals bring us the big amount of low-income wood. And that's why we made the strategy for smart use of biomass for energy purposes. We formulated it, and it's now, it was under development, and it received an additional mission as a complement to the strategy of the climate change in Slovenia forest. So the strategy was made by interdepartmental group. There were 3 ministries, our Slovenia Forestry Service and the Forest Institute. The main goal of the strategy was to prevent the use of quality wood for heating purposes, because this happens for heating purposes because it's the easiest way to go once inside the forest, cut it and get it out. So a lot of quality wood is just used as this. Because a lot of people don't know how to use or have really like old stoves back home, the air pollution is a big problem because of the way people are using the wood for heating purposes. So we also wanted to improve the air quality by using the renewable energy sources. Oh, sorry. Yeah, let me go back to that. So yeah, that was actually my last slide because it's the last action. Sorry for this. Okay, so yeah, that was the last slide. But what I wanted to say is that now what is happening with the strategy, which was our main output, we are waiting for appropriate procedure of public hearing, and then they have to do some cross-sectoral coordination. And finally, we're hoping that the government will adopt the strategy or the National Assembly. So it was actually already sent to the government. They had no comments. So now we're waiting for final adoption and implementation the strategy into their other strategies. And I must say that with help of the project BIO4ECO, the Forest Service has carried out many activities that will greatly contribute to raising awareness of the use of biomass for energy purposes. And we all think this will increase the competitiveness, growth, and interest for working in the forest, by forest owners. We will make in the future every effort to introduce the good practices that we learned in the project meetings, which were really much fun, and sharing the knowledge and good practices. We were really grateful for that, and we want to introduce these good practices into everyday life as much as possible, and therefore to help move the low carbon society by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So yeah, let's hope we will be successful, but I think with this kind of enthusiasm that everyone had on this project, we will manage. So thank you, everyone. And yeah, hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much, Anne. And now it's the turn of the last presentation of this morning session. So it's Sylvain from French Federation of Forest Municipalities.
Yes, hello everyone, good morning. As I was saying in the chat, I'm sorry for being a bit late to this meeting. I had a very urgent appointment to attend. So is everyone seeing my screen at the moment, presentation? I think yes. Okay. Okay, then let's go. So the French Federation of Forest Municipalities Action Plan was focused on the climate and energy climate plan, which is a policy administered by the French Agency for Ecological Transition. The director of this agency was actually doing a presentation yesterday. So those PCE80, as I will be calling them during my presentation, are strategies that are mandatory for joint municipalities of more than 20,000 inhabitants. So there is approximately 500 of those kind of municipalities in France. So it represents a lot of local policies and a lot of forest and wood issues to promote in those local policies. So those local plan need to include clear goals regarding the development of renewable energies, carbon sequestration, and the adaptation of to climate change. So the strategy of PCE80 have to target every economic sector of the territory. So excuse me, there is a painter at my house at the moment, so I have to work in both. So the PCE80 have to target every economic sector of the territory. So the FNCOFOR worked with the French Agency for Ecological Transition in order to strengthen the inclusion of forest and wood issues inside those documents. So the elaboration of the strategy being the responsibility of local municipalities, our aim during this action plan was to develop tools that could directly be used by their technical staff during the writing of their local plan. So two main documents were written by the French Federation of Forest Municipalities. Firstly, a technical support document, and secondly, a more communicative document. The first document provides scientific and technical explanation and simplification regarding the positive effect of forest and wood use on climate change mitigation. And it also focuses on a more methodological advices on how to build a local integrated forest strategy in link with current and future projects and tools inside of the municipalities and in consultation with key partners such as the National Forest Office or the private forest owners. So this was the first document that was an numeric document that was sent to all our municipalities, so more than 6,000 municipalities. And the second document was more of a way for local association to have at their disposition a communication tool that can be used to inform and sensitize on forest and wood roles on climate change mitigation during generic training sessions for local elected representatives or municipality staff, or during special events. It graphically, so there is a little graphic on the lower right of your screen. It graphically synthesizes the three main stakes we have identified for forest and wood use: the carbon sequestration capacity of forest ecosystem, the importance of carbon storage in wood materials, especially in replacement with steel or concrete, for example, and the strategic role of wood biomass for energy production. especially in substitution with fossil fuel. So the the elaboration of this local plan is carried out in an equivalent matter in all municipalities. Excuse me, I promise it's not COVID or something like that. In all municipalities, a diagnosis will be first realized by an external technical office, but the main part of the plan, the strategy and the action plan, will be written by separated thematic working group, bringing together all stakeholders from different economic sectors. So while the creation of a working group focused on forest and wood issues would be ideal for the inclusion of forest issues into PC80 strategies, we quickly realized that most of the municipalities will not consider, will not take seriously this sector, because it will be its economical weight would not compete with other sectors such as energy sector or construction sectors. So our solution to this problem will be to ensure that forest specialists such as forest engineer or forest from our local associations would participate to each working group regarding energy production, regarding building sector, and would promote inside of those working group forest and wood solutions in order to give an effective information regarding this sector. So to ensure that those technical specialists have good and scientific information, we organized 2 training sessions in Paris and gave them an access to a certain number of data and technical elements. So participate to each of these working group demands a lot of times. So the last solution, if we can't make it physically, would be to contribute by the spreading of the documents that have been written by the French Federation of Forest Municipalities, such as the guide I told you about earlier, or such as little communication documents. So when participating to the writing of those local plans, we will promote a certain numbers of technical preconization and good practices. And among good practices, we are regularly promoting the development of local approaches for the development of wood biomass used for heating system and heating network. So to do so, the FNCO4 have developed a tool to help the local elected representative in their decisions. So it's called the Territorial Supply Plan. I think I told you about this tool earlier during the BIO4ECO program. It allows for an evaluation of forest resources in a 20-year future of course, by following sustainable management practices. And it compares these future resources to the actual consumptions of heating system in use by the municipalities and heating system in project inside of those municipalities. So these estimations can reassure elected people and reassure the general public regarding the available biomass resources in the near future. And it can also calculate the estimated price of wood chips depending on the localization of this original resource, the physical environment, such as the slope, the state of the forest road network, or the localization of existing heating plant. So that kind of information can be particularly useful for municipalities that want and precise information on where to develop new forest world, or where to develop new storage platform or new heating system. We have also constated that the local PCIT have to include diagnosis regarding carbon sequestration on the municipalities. So the action plan from the FNCO4 allowed to observe that there wasn't any tool available for free anyway, that could estimate simply the local carbon sequestrations in forest ecosystems, soil and aerial biomass. Based on these observations, the French Agency for Ecological Transition worked with us and with the National Institutes of Geographic and Forest Information in order to develop a simple tool that will be sent to every municipalities that have to write a PCIT. This tool called ALDO can estimate, based on free and easily accessible forest data, can estimate the state of the carbon storage in every forest soil and forest biomass, as well as carbon storage in wood material in bâtiments inside the municipalities. It can also easily provide a number of planned change for this carbon storage related to the evolution of forest practices and the destination of wood products inside those municipalities. So the inclusion of this kind of data in the initial diagnosis of PCIT is a really good step towards a greater recognition of the role of forest and wood materials for carbon neutrality, especially in the context of competitions with other sources of energy, such as fossil fuels, or energy or other materials, such as concrete or steels. It allows municipalities to quantify precisely their objective and measure properly the relevance of the use of wood. So regarding the global climate strategy, nationwide or local strategy, we have constated that in France or elsewhere, we are observing a focused transfer towards the carbon pump function of forest and the possibility of marketing it. So while we think that a greater knowledge of the economical role of forest is, in general, is beneficial for the inclusion, their inclusion into global programs and projects, nationwide and locally, we alert regularly the state and our municipalities on possible risks of only considering forest through really specific sector policies, such as carbon policy, biodiversity policy, energy policy, without a clear articulation of the different issues and the different functions of forest. So as a living ecosystem, forests need to be, we think forests need to be considered in its globality, in integrated policy, and the particularity of local uses and functions of forests and wood also can't really be apprehended in a single national policy, and especially not in a variety of different sectoral policies. So the French Federation of Forest Municipalities defend the right for municipalities to be endowed with more legislative levers in order to have their own forest strategy, the way to finance it at a coherent decision scale in consultation with every forest stakeholders and local elected people inside of the municipalities. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Sylvain. So it is a surprise, but we are running on time. So in fact, we have we are 5 minutes. We have still 5 minutes to the coffee break, but I suggest just to have this coffee break and then so extend until 11:45, so 20 minutes for the coffee break. After that, we will have the presentation of the project coordinator, Adriano Radi, who will summarize the main results and outcomes of the project, and the roundtable, which is expected the participation of all the project partners. So please remain remain connected, because it will be interesting just to have this roundtable. Okay, so now it's time for this coffee break, and then we will reconnect in 20 minutes more or less. Okay, see you soon.